Good evening, parents. My name is Mr. Chandler. I've been teaching at Thunderbird High School now for 5 full years. I will be your child's U.S. or World History teacher this year. I'm very excited to work with your student, despite the fact that we are dealing with some unique circumstances here. I wanted to keep the meeting or the video introduction pretty short because I know these can be a little bit tedious to watch, and I know you have several of them to watch. I will try to keep it to the most basic information and the things that may impact you most, or the things that I find parents are most eager to learn about. In terms of getting a hold of me, I'm working from my room during the current online environment, so I will be at school every day during most normal hours. My home run or my phone number extension at Thunderbird High School is extension 7204. My email, which can be found in the staff directory and all the students have, is lee.chandler@guhsdaz.org. And then right here I have a link to my classroom webpage. This is really good for the world history students because on this page is where all the information you can find related to the classes, to include technology support numbers, resources they can use in the classroom, Flipgrid class codes, a class syllabus, and then as well as the schedule and anything basically related to this class. Something, if they needed to ask a question while I wasn't available, it's a place where all that information can be found. In terms of the rules, we did do a syllabus this year, of course, and all the world history students and U.S. history students have been given that world history or that syllabus. So I would encourage you to go over that syllabus with them when you can. What I did though was I highlighted the most important parts. And I would like to just go over the focus of the online environment because these are the rules that we haven't seen as much. These are the new procedures. These are the things that parents are probably most concerned about, as well as the students. So during the online work environment, in terms of late work and test, it's basically going to be on a case-by-case basis, meaning because it's tough to electronically find stuff that's weeks old and days old and stuff like that, the expectation is that any work they get, especially with these 90-minute periods, if I ask that it's due at the end of the 90-minute period, the expectation that all students complete that work by that time period. This, of course, does not apply if there's students with modifications, accommodations, or extenuating circumstances. Those are things we always work around. But in general, let's just have the rule of thumb be that if there's any work you are missing, or if there's any work that is assigned in class, let's just try to get that done and on time. The expectation is that all work is completed when assigned, and test retakes and extensions on classwork will only be granted under extenuating circumstances. This does not necessarily mean this has to be like a huge appeal process. Most of the time, if I can get just some communication from a parent or a guardian, I'm willing to work with just about any incident. I do understand these are extraordinary times. I do understand that students are struggling, families are struggling, parents are struggling. So if there's something that we need to do to make sure your son or daughter is getting their work in on time, please let me know and we can work around that. Or if for some reason they missed work because they're an athlete or they're in band or they traveled, by all means, anytime I get an email from a parent or a guardian, it's almost it's a foregone conclusion. I'm willing to work with you and we'll find a way to get your child back on track. Again, communication is key. For every class that is missed in the online environment, 1 day will be given for the work to be made up. Again, there's always exceptions to the rule. Maybe if a student missed 3 or 4 days, those are things we can work around. Maybe they missed 2 or 3 quizzes. Maybe they're in sports. Maybe they're in activities and clubs. Maybe they were traveling. If you need additional time, if your child needs additional time, I should say, by all means, again, just reach out with an email. Camera and attendance. So we do understand that the online environment is a little bit tedious, to say the least. The internet service is not always great. Students can be shy, and not everyone wants to be on camera when they're in their home or in their personal space. So I've tried to meet the students in the road, or to meet the students in the middle of the road a little bit, so to speak. I only ask that the cameras be on during the WebEx portions of the class. So for example, at the beginning of the class when I do attendance, I'll ask the students just to turn on the cameras real quick. It puts a face to a name, it helps add a little personal feel to the class and makes it feel more normal for these conditions. I did, however, put in the syllabus that if you communicate with me, whether it's the parent, whether it's a guardian, or even the student, and there's a personal reason where you would prefer not to be on camera, or you would prefer your child not to be on camera, I should say, by all means, let me know. And the reality is I'm not even that concerned with the reason. If you think the reason is good enough not to have the camera on, I just need to be made aware with that, and I'm not going to challenge it at all. Be aware that we take attendance during the first 10 minutes of the class and during the last 10 minutes of the class. So nearly every class, unless for some reason it's an independent assignment or maybe we're doing a project, I will always check in with the students at the beginning of the class, and there will always be a closure. The closure is just kind of an accountability piece. We just want to make sure all students are still maintaining that classroom type environment of periods and being available. So at the end of the period, I always ask the students to check back in one more time. Of course, we also like to have the cameras on for that. And then that's kind of like the final closure, and that ensures me that the student was there for the beginning of the class, most likely the middle of the class, and the end of the class. It does seem odd to talk about tardies during an online environment, but there are tardies during this online environment. The student is expected to be logged in at the beginning of class when the class starts. Now again, we have internet issues, we have technological issues, computers are freezing, even teachers' computers freeze on occasion, things like that. So nobody's going to be splitting hairs over like a stopwatch on how quickly they were logged in, this or that. But maybe if they were regularly logging in 20 or 30 minutes late every day, that's a conversation we might have. That concludes my introduction for the evening. Again, my name is Mr. Chandler. I will be your child's teacher for U.S. or World History this year. I've been teaching at Thunderbird High School for 5 years. This is my 7th year in Glendale Union High School District. I am also the head wrestling coach here and pretty active in sports. I'm looking forward to this opportunity to teach your student. I know we are in some trying times, but I think if we just make the best of this tough situation, it should only get better, and hopefully in the coming months we will be seeing each other in person again and doing some more traditional school curriculum. Have a good evening. I am looking forward to meeting your child, working with your child this year. And again, please, if you have any questions, reach out to me with the contact information that I presented during the first slide.